So hello everybody. We are going on a tour called Puffin and Volcano tour, amongst other things. First question for all of you: have any of you read this book? You have read this book?
I bought one last time I was here, and I just bought another one.
Last time you were here, did you come on this tour then?
That's how I learned about the book.
Right, because I've asked for over 10 years. I usually get the answer no, which is fine. I didn't write the book. My uncle did. Now, it's a children's book. It might be one of the reasons why many of you have not read it, but even though it's a children's book, it's a true story. It's a story about something that happens nowhere in this world, except on this island. Happens every single year. Has been doing for who knows 1,000 years. Well, at least until electricity came here. So what is happening here? In the ending of August, beginning of September, the baby puffins are going to be jumping out of the burrows. The baby puffins, they cannot fly for the first 2 years, but they do have wings and they can glide. And they're going to jump out in the middle of the night and they're going to glide towards the moonlight. But they've never seen the moonlight. They're only 6 weeks old. The only thing they're actually going to see is basically street lights. So they're basically going to glide toward the street light, get stranded in the streets in the thousands and thousands and thousands. Probably about 10,000 baby puffins. And that's the time of the year when everybody on this island usually goes out with a box and a flashlight. We try to collect them. We try to find them as soon as possible because they will only survive here on this island for about 24 hours. They're basically starving. That's why they're jumping out. As soon as you find them, you take them home. It's in the middle of the night. Personally, I will feed them shrimp just to release them with a full stomach so they have a little bit of extra chance. But the most important part is actually to release them into the ocean, not the harbor, as soon as they hit the water. Just nature seems to kick in and they seem to know exactly what to do and where to go. Now the strange thing is, at least I think is, it doesn't matter where you find the baby puffin, it matters where you release that baby puffin. Because actually 18 months later that same puffin is going to come back to the exact same place it was released from. So we always try to release them in another colony. So when they're coming back, they come back to more puffins. Otherwise, guys, we're just going to go and explore the island. I'm going to school you and teach you all about the island and island life. We are more off the bus than on the bus. We drive for 5 minutes, we get off the bus. For another 5 minutes and get off the bus, and so on and so on, and that's how we're going to explore the whole island. So you were on the tour last year.
2023.
My jokes are exactly the same. You better laugh. So guys, let's start with my very, very difficult Icelandic name. Einar Birgir Baldursson. Everybody got it?
Yep.
Good. Everybody on this island has a nickname. And mine is Ebbi. E-B-B-I. Ebbi. That's easy. I'm born and raised on this island. Been here pretty much all my life. My family tree on this island goes back since the year 1170, so I'm pretty much a local, pretty much. The first thing I can tell you is people on the mainland. Iceland is on the mainland. Of course, we're all Icelandic here. But people on the mainland, they usually call us here the islanders, even though we all come from an island. Call us an island boy or an island girl, which I personally think is a compliment. Now, the only difference really between us who live here on this island and Icelanders who live on the bigger island is here on this island we are a little bit taller. We are a little bit more handsomer. We're kinder and we're definitely brighter. Definitely brighter. But really, we're just more humble really than people on the mainland. Pretty much same. Now, when people on the mainland, Icelanders on the mainland, are thinking of us, the islanders, they'll usually think of 3 things. And I would say the first thing would be the fishing industry here, because here everybody's connected to the fish. If you're a plumber, carpenter, hairdresser, lawyer, everybody's getting paid somehow through the fish, and that's really what connects us all here. We're just about 4,500 young and old live here. Of all the fish that is sold or exported from Iceland, about 15 up to 20% comes from this very, very small island here. So a very, very big industry here. Now, second thing, which I would say people on the mainland think of when they're thinking of us, the islanders here, is actually this cliff right in front of us. This is called Spranga. in Icelandic actually only on this side. Spranga is a training area for local kids. Here we learn how to collect the eggs from the birds which we're going to eat. The first thing you learn, you start at the age of 8 or 9 years old, you start by learning Spranga, which is the rope that you hanging down there with the boy is holding on to. Now, once you've learned it, you've like mastered it, you're ready to go to the top here where you see all these birds. You come down in a safety rope and you learn how to collect the eggs from the birds. Once you've learned these two things, you've like mastered these two things, then you are ready to go to the outer islands, the smaller islands around this island here. That's where we have most of the birds and therefore most of the eggs. At this training area here, we have two kinds of birds. We have a fulmar and a kittiwake. Fulmar will actually spit on you, special oil you really don't want it on you. Kittiwake will just attack you. And that's one of the things that you're learning here, is what kind of bird is it? How is he gonna attack you when you're taking their eggs? What you're supposed to do before the attack. Because it is better to fall down here, break a couple of bones, instead of on these outer islands, because there you probably won't survive the fall. But guys, we're gonna step out here. I'm gonna show you a little bit how the locals do it. Guys, you can come a little bit closer. Don't worry, I'm not going to make any of you do this. Promise. Oh my God. Now, this is called the boot, guys. You might see why. Now, guys, just so you know, it's not 911. It's 112 in Iceland. It's a different number. Now guys, this is really hard. I just make it look easy. Well, if you do this as your aim line, it's not that hard, but if you've done it before, it's usually a different story. Guys, me and my friends were on that island last summer during the egg season. Which already started for this year. But last year, we collected about 600 eggs from the bird guillemot. Guillemot's egg is twice as big as a chicken. They come in many kinds of color, greenish, bluish, and they're in a shape like a light bulb. We don't sell them. We have them for friends and family. Sometimes you trade on the other. Usually, we pick the egg, we break the top, and we drink it. And hold nothing else is in it. Because that's sometimes happens. I'm going to show you later what a guillemot that looks like. So this is pretty much what we're going to be doing. Drive from A to B, getting out of the bus a lot. And now we'll go to the next place. The noise that they're making usually means some bigger bird is attacking their eggs. That's usually what they're angry about. Kittiwake is this white bird, and he has like black at the end of his wingtips underneath. And if we take them for an example, Kittiwake will have about 3 to 4 eggs, and let's just say, for an example, that he's made these 4 eggs, and they've all hatched, and there are these 4 baby birds. Now the mother is going to come in here with that one fish, and the one who is the strongest and the greediest will usually get that one fish. And the first thing he's going to do is he's going to push out one of his siblings. So now he only has to fight 2 more with 1 fish. This is going to keep on going. He's going to get stronger, he's going to get greedier. He's going to push out his next sibling. So now he only has to fight 1 more with 1 fish. So if there are 4 eggs, we only take 2. If there are 3 eggs, we only take 1. We always leave 2 eggs behind because we never want to damage the bird population here. And Well, the other ones are almost as good as that. And we've been doing this for over 1,000 years. Still, we have all the birds here. So we must be doing something right. Now, like I said, I think there are 3 things that pop in the head of the people on the mainland when they're thinking of us, the islanders. First thing being fishing industry. Second thing being Sparanka. And I would say the third thing would be the biggest outdoor music festival held in Iceland. Which held on this island here, always the first weekend in August. It's a 3-4 day outdoor music festival. Some 20,000 people will be coming here for the music festival. The music festival itself is actually held in this old crater here called Herjólfsdalur. The name of our ferry that, well, some of you might have come over here with, it's the same name, Herjólfur, and that name, Herjólfur, it comes from the first Viking family, from the first Viking settlers who settled here in Westman Islands. Now they chose this place in here because this was actually the only place where you could get fresh water on this island in the beginning of 900, that is. Now, here in front of us is a small cliff. Just above that greenhouse is a small cliff with a little bit of timber up there on the first day at the music festival. They've usually finished building something out there, something really tall, something really big, which is going to set on fire at midnight, so the whole valley will light up. On the second day at midnight, they'll fire fireworks in here. And because of the acoustics, the echo is just so unbelievable. You can physically feel it when that echo kind of bounces back on you like a small slap in the face. The house over there with the grass on roof is actually just the stage. The stage is on the other side and people are sitting in the hill in front of the stage. Sunday, last day, most popular day. They will light up 1 red flare for each festival that's been held here. Up at these fences, there'll be 1 person with 1 red flare representing each festival. And last year was the 151 festival, so 151 red flares would light up the valley here, always at midnight. Well, we are gonna sneak over the golf course here. The golfers love it when I drive over the golf course. Now, this golf course is in the top 100 of the most beautiful golf courses in the world. It's in the first place. It's one of the best golf courses in Iceland. But I think we have the best view. Go to Surtsey from here. Surtsey is the youngest and newest island in Europe. There was an underground volcano here in 1963. It's the island. So Surtsey is actually on the right side of this bigger island. You just can't see it. Missed there. But guys, I think we can all agree on one thing. We've been in this bus for way too long. So let's get up. Now guys, let's stay on the path, otherwise you're going to be yelled at in Icelandic or hit by a golf ball, or both. 5,000 meters of lava from there, runs down here. Filling this crater here up again, and everything we see is northwest. Now, not a lot of Puffin, but still a beautiful place worth checking out. And if any of you play golf, well, you're supposed to tee up over here to that red flag over there, and there's a water bunker behind there also. But guys, we're just getting started. We got a lot more spots to go and check out. We're actually going to drive for 1.5 minutes before our next stop. Don't worry, I'm not called the Puffin Whisperer for no reason. remember I told you that in here was the only place where you could get fresh water on this island in the beginning of 900. The house there is a replica of the first Viking house from the first Viking family that settled here in Westman Islands. It is actually just one house for one family. It's connected in the middle. It is how they would keep warm-ish through the winter. They would have their animals and their slaves on the left side, and the animals, just by eating, just by being alive, they would give up heat. It wasn't warm, but was livable, basically. Now, where the archaeologists excavated this area here, the ruins themselves, it is actually right in front of us on this golf course. Kind of hard to see, but what the archaeologists discovered in these ruins right here in front of us is that these are one of the oldest ruins found in Iceland, not just Westman Islands. And the house to the left, it's a replica of what the archaeologists were excavating here. Now, this house here was actually built here some 25, 30 years ago. It was just open for everybody. The roof was just caving in, and the house was just crumbling. So I rented it. Just let everybody catch up. Guys, you notice here how low the doors are. You might think the Vikings were hobbits. They were not. No. Kept the doors really low. They're trying to keep the heat inside as much as possible. And also, in case an enemy's coming, he's going to have to put his head in first. Now, it's a story about Herjolf and Vilborg. It's a story that every child on this island knows about, because it is the first settlers, and we're learning about it in 5th grade. But nobody else seems to know about it, not even on the mainland. So that was basically the idea, to tell the story. So guys, come on in, but watch your head. I bumped it 1,000 times here myself. Watch your head. You can take a seat here by the fire, guys, or sit on the bed, or stand, up to you. So everybody catch up here with us. That's beautiful. Herjolf himself is on the other side. You're going to meet him in a minute. The other one, which is talked about in this history book of ours, it is his oldest daughter, Vilborg, the girl holding the shoe, which you might have seen when he came in here. In this history book of ours, it said that Herjolfur himself, he was big, he was cruel, and he would sell the water. Considered himself to be the owner of the only fresh water on the island. So to get any water, you had to pay him. And apparently, his oldest daughter, Vilborg, did not like the idea that her father would charge payment for the water. So she would sometimes sneak out in the night to give water to the ones who didn't have any kind of payment for the water. And in this time, their belief is the god Thor, Odin, Valhalla, those gods. And the raven here was considered to be a messenger from the god Odin. Now the story is that Vilborg, she's just outside the house. She is mending her shoe, which would have been made of some kind of skin. As she's mending her shoe, a raven comes, picks up one of her shoe and starts flying away. She starts running after the raven to get her shoe back. As she runs after the raven, she hears a big crumble. A big rock slide comes tumbling down from the mountainside, goes straight to the house, kills everybody inside the house, her whole family. And the story is that the god Odin sent his messenger, the raven, to get her out of the way, because she had been so good to the people. That is the moral of the story. Guys, feel free to walk around, take pictures. These rooms are connected. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about this here on the other side. But watch your head. Just go slowly.
How long did it take you to renovate?
About 4 years in total. There have never been any trees in Westman Islands, not even in the beginning. There used to be thousands of acres, forests on the mainland. It took the Vikings 200, 250 years to cut everything down. But only trees on the mainland, never any trees here. These guys were skilled sailors, people sailed to the mainland, get what they needed.
You're saying?
I'm saying, they do here, Joseph were on an island outside Coast Rock, Massachusetts. In the late somebody has to be stationed to help the light.
The guy in the corner here, that's Herjolfur himself. He might look like he's drunk, because he probably is. He was actually known for making ale. This guy here is Raven Floki, Hrafnar Floki. He is the first one to discover Iceland. He actually names Iceland Iceland. He comes from Norway. He goes back to Norway. He tells everybody about this shitty place that he just found. It was shitty because they're hunters and there weren't really any animals here, so they really didn't like it. But they all end up coming here because they're all fleeing that guy, King Harold, the first king of Norway. Now the guy in the green here is Ubbe Ragnarsson, son of Ragnar Lothbrok. The female sitting here is a very famous Icelandic female Viking. Her name in Icelandic is Auður Djúpauða. In very bad translation, that would be Aud Deep-Minded. Now, standing behind Ubbe is Kormak, one of the slaves. And then we have Imma, one of the slaves. What all these famous Vikings sitting at this table have in common is they were all living at the same period of time. They were either visiting Iceland in the same period of time or they lived in Iceland in the same period of time. Now, it's nowhere written in our history books that they actually came to Westman Islands. But it's also nowhere written that they didn't come to Westman Islands, so they're sitting instead. Now, the Vikings did not make meat because to make meat you need honey. And to make honey, well, then you need bees. And they didn't have any bees, so they made ale, collected herbs, stuff like that. Matilda, 1,000 years ago, the Vikings would eat dried fish. Still today, we eat dried fish. Now, 1,000 years later, still don't eat any vegetables. Just saying, guys. Only this and only this. Then I have something else here for you guys. Vodka. Did the Vikings make vodka? No, they didn't make vodka. Why am I then offering you vodka? Well, because it's special. How is it special? Well, first of all, it's Icelandic. Well, that's not it. What's so special about this vodka is that this vodka won a reward as the best vodka made in Iceland in 2021. Then it won another reward as the best vodka made in the world in 2022. And if you try the fish out and don't like it, this should clear everything out. Anybody on vacation? Collected herbs from the valley, water from the well and all this stuff, and they're trying to make something similar, that some kind of ale that he might have been making 1,000 years ago. The beer hasn't won any rewards, but it's still beer, and you can only get it where you came in here. And I don't know if you know, guys, but in Iceland you can drink beer on the bus. Just so you know, guys. Just so you know. So guys, when you finish with the cups, you can just leave the cups here on the table. Otherwise, we've got some more puffins to try to find and more island to explore.
Where did the slaves come from?
Ireland.
Where were they slaves? Irish?
Now, guys, the name Westman Islands, that comes from the Vikings, and there are no beautiful romantic love stories about the Vikings. They're all pretty brutal, and the name is just like that. So the Vikings, they did have slaves, and they simply called them Westmen. Simply because our first Icelandic, Ingólfur Arnalds, first settler, Ingólfur Arnalds, he went to the west of Norway, he got his men and women, and he simply called them Westmen. But then he had to put it on his eye, because we have never had any trees in Westmoreland, not even in the beginning. Like I said, there used to be 1,000 acres of forest on the mainland, but never any trees in Westman Islands, so they couldn't build a boat. They couldn't get off this island. But the name itself really comes from Ingólfur Arnalds. He gave 3 of these Westmen, 3 of these slaves, to his half-brother in the mainland. And these 3 Westmen, these 3 slaves, they killed his half-brother, fled to this island here. This is, of course, more than 1,000 years ago. And in that time, in that era, you always had to avenge your family member. A so-called blood revenge. So, Ingólfur Arnalds and his friends followed those 3 Westmen, those 3 slaves into this island here. And instead of just killing those 3 slaves, they killed about 200 people here, pretty much killed everybody on this island. Because that was just the Viking way. They were making a statement. If you everybody knows. And that's where the name of this island actually comes from, after they killed all of the slaves. And that's, now the island Surtsey that I was telling you about, we just couldn't see. Surtsey being the youngest unused island, longest eruption in Iceland, ongoing for 4 years. You can kind of see a shadow on the right side of this big island. You can see the bottom of the island, the shadow of the bottom of the island, out there on the right side. That's Surtsey. Surtsey is the only island that you're not allowed to go to or even come near. Scientists wanted to close that island. Apparently they wanted to monitor how much time it would take for something to start to grow on such new land without the interference of us, the people. But you can actually go to any of these other islands that you see here. There's nothing that can ban that. If you have a boat or you're a great swimmer, you'll be welcome. Now there are 15 islands total, 1-5, but every island here has their own individual name, and there's usually one house on each of these islands. You can see the bigger island down at the bottom to the right, just above the sea line. There's that extra white spot. It's actually a house. One house on each of these islands. These houses, they used to be hunting cabin houses. But are today more like clubhouses. So you have to be a member of that specific island to get to use that specific clubhouse. And you're not a member of all of the islands. You're usually just a member of one of these islands. And just like in any other small town, just like this one here, there's a competition. There's a competition between the islands. There's a competition between the clubs. The competition is who has the most luxury cabin house. So actually most of them are going to have a sauna, a hot tub, a modern kitchen, a modern bathroom, sleeping area for 6 to 8 people, porch around the whole house, diesel generator for electricity, and running water. Now the only wild animals here in Westman Islands is the birds. We don't have any foxes, rabbits, minks, snakes. We have cats and dogs, horses and sheep, some chickens, geese. That's it, really. The horses that you might see here, it's just a hobby, basically just to have something else to do on this island. Sheep also just a hobby. We have sheep everywhere where there's grass. There are no wild sheep. There's an owner to every single one. There's no industry in it. We do not make any money out of it. We don't even sell the wool. We'll throw it away or give it away. It's just a meat. That's it. Really cool. But we do go into the water here. It'll usually only hurt like hell for about 2 minutes, and after that you won't feel it.
Drink more vodka.
Drink more vodka. Now guys, about those puppets. Now we're gonna park here. We're gonna have to walk just a little bit now. Instead of doing that right now, because I see this bus here, we're gonna go up. We're gonna finish up and then come down, and hopefully the big bus is just about to leave. Okay? We're gonna do that. Finish up, come back down. The puppets will still be here. Now guys, see down here to our left, see our black sand beach. Right on the other side where the ocean is also a little bit of waves there. That's called Pirate Bay. That's called Pirate Bay because of a Turkish invasion. It's called the Turkish invasion, even though they're actually not from Turkey. If you were colored back then, you would consider to be Turkish. That's where they came from. We're actually Algerians. These Algerians that came here on 3 boats, took about 250 people, they killed about 50 people. And at that time, there was almost the half of the population on the side. Came here looking for blonde-haired, white women and men that take and sell as slaves. This is a very, very long time ago, 1627. And unbelievably enough, the men just never came here and then back. It's the only time in Iceland's history when anything like this has happened, like an invasion. But guys, we're driving you to the top just for a couple of minutes, just so you can check that out of your bucket list. You went to one of the windiest places in Europe, even though it's really not that windy today. We get about 4 days a year, on average, up here with no wind. It can go up to 64 meters per second, which is like 240 kilometers per hour. But the day is not that bad. The sign there, the blue sign over there on the right side, says Stowhövdi. According to Google, Wikipedia, that sign is apparently one of the windiest places in Europe. It has been a couple of times the windiest place in Europe, a couple of times the windiest place in the world. Depends on how windy it was that year. So if it was on your bucket list to step up to one of the windiest places in Europe, well, now is your chance. Just for a couple of minutes. Then guys, just for a couple of minutes, then we're gonna drive down here for a minute and we're gonna walk a little bit to try to find some puppy. That's why I say the only time, since he has retired, they've actually changed the house into a digital lighthouse, digital weather station, and some kind of luxury apartment. Anywho, the guy, Oscar, actually has a World Guinness record in marking and counting birds. So obviously, he must have had a lot of talent. But he's also the reason for how we know how old the oldest puffin was. Let's call you on this island, please. Because nobody really knows how old the puffins can get. The only way to tell an age of a puffin is really by marking them when it's a baby one and then catching them some years later. So he caught the baby puffin. He marked the baby puffin. And then one of my friends caught him on dinner. Some 42 years later. And that is how we know how old he was. Otherwise, really do not know how old he can get. But I do know the oldest puffin caught on this island was 42 years old. And that is the oldest puffin I know about, at least. And who knows, he might even have gotten older if he just hadn't been eaten. Who knows? Nobody knows. So guys, it's going to be about a 3-5 minute walk at the end of the trail here. At the end of the trail is a house that you can't go into if you're cold or you feel like you're getting too wet. Go inside the house. We don't know how many puffins we're going to see, how close we're going to get. The only way to do that, well, that is the one over there. So it's going to be about a 3-5 minute walk, guys. Yes, Colin will come.
You fed one last time when I was up here.
It's always the same one.
Oh, is it?
I've been feeding her for 11 years.
Oh, gee.
Coming.
She knows you. How old is that, a baby?
Yes.
How old would...
They're born in April.
Oh, okay.
Well, we try to control it. So they're born in April. If you feed it, you can pat it. Let everybody catch up here. You'll see one house at the end here. I'll catch up. roughly about the 2 meters, roughly about my height. It's kind of hard to see now because the tide is in, but when the tide is fully out, we'll go down here with a bucket or a bag or some kind of container and we'll walk as far out as we can without getting too wet, and we'll pick up the seaweed, kelp, tang, algier, the reddish, brownish, slime, and ignorant. You might have seen it at the Viking house, you might even have tasted it at the Viking house. Wooden cross coming right down here to our left. This wooden cross down here for our left. It's for the name of the street which is right underneath us. For the name of the street which is actually right here down below us. Because all of the streets that you see here down below us, they look like they've all ended right here down below us, but they really didn't do that. They're actually all just running right under us here. So we're basically driving on top of streets. We're driving on top of houses. And many islanders, many locals who lost their houses here, will also put these old wooden markers, kind of like these wooden crosses, or the name of the houses, which is underneath here. For example, my family, we have a marker like that for our house. It's actually not far from here. And it is 40 meters down to the house. Because this was all flat to the sea level. We used to have a really big problem with a strong east wind. It would just blow in here so strongly that our boats would just cut loose, amongst other things. But as you see here, we just don't have that problem anymore. The town here is pretty much protected now from this storm. Now, at our next stop, where you're going to get a chance to get out of the bus here, finally again, we're going to see a big cross. This cross that we're going to see here momentarily, it's a monument of where the eruption started here in 73, where they first saw that first fire come up from. This volcano here started very small. In the beginning there was just this one small lava pole, lava spew kind of coming on the ground, black to the sea level. This volcano started at 2 o'clock in the night. Everybody was asleep, nobody knew anything. There was no earthquake or something like that. Actually, just a couple of people saw the first fire in the beginning. For example, this one guy. This one guy, he had a dog, and his dog was so uneery that he decided to take his dog out for a walk at 2 o'clock in the night. As he steps out, he sees this shimmer of light not far from his backyard. Now his backyard was pretty big, but he walked toward the shimmer of light, and he saw fire coming on the ground. So he walks back, knocks on his neighbor's door, says to his neighbor, I think this volcano started. So they decide to go back outside, take another look. They see the fire and decide, well, we gotta call someone. Yeah. But by then, 3 others are already seen it, or only pulled it in. Now nobody really knew what to do here at the beginning. The authorities here really didn't know what to do at the beginning. But they made a decision, let's just tell everybody to come down to the harbor immediately. So they go knocking on doors, ring everybody up, tell everybody to come down to the harbor immediately. A few moments later, the authorities here decide to start the evacuation of the island by using our fishing boats. So you couldn't take anything with you, you have to leave in the clothes you're in, basically your pajamas here. Now guys, you see these sticks coming down the hill on our left side. It's actually coming right here in front of us also. It's supposed to show us the end of the island 53 years ago. 53 years ago we would be in the ocean. 53 years ago we would be coming onto a beach. This was all flat, a beach. It was all flat here, and there was just this one small lava pole, lava spew that come on the ground where the cross is, right to sea level. Then 2 days later, 48 hours later, came the second lava pole, or lava spew, and the third, and the fourth, and the fifth, and then there was 40 lava poles spewing out of the ground in a line to the south. That's when the whole earth just cracked open 3 kilometers into the south, and that's when the explosion happened. But one of our good lucks was it gave us 48 hours to evacuate, and that is what we did. And that is why nobody died. We evacuated all the people, all the horses, all the sheep. The birds had actually already left because they knew, even though we didn't know, This is more than 50 years ago. This is before internet. Nobody put it together. Why are all the birds leaving? Oh, there's a eruption here. The classic black volcano rock. It comes in the beginning. You can see the black color I'm talking about right here. It's kind of the first color. And it comes in the beginning. Then I have here the second color. It's more of this reddish sheets scattered on here. It has more iron in it, hence for the color. But it also means the end of the eruption. It doesn't mean that there's a week left. It just means that something is changing and the end is near. The only problem is we just don't know how near the end is. Third color. There was this long cracked line in the earth here. It ended just above here. So that's what it was, spitting out his last breath, his last lava kind of. So only scattered around this area here. We have these guys here, they have more yellow, more sulfur, and therefore more color. You can almost see the three colors that I'm talking about in the rock just above here. Now, after the evacuation on this island for about 24 hours, these guys here, they come in many sizes, smaller ones, big ones. These guys are called lava bombs. I don't make the name up. The geologists make the name up. These guys here would fly as far as into the town. They would go through a roof of a house. They would crack open and set the house on fire. But just for those 24 hours after the evacuation, the power, the force was enough to throw these guys all the way to town. Now you can really feel the difference between the two of them. Similar sizes, but very different. You know, like one, the lava bomb, you can pass it on. Generation. Don't have fast food, seems to bother you. Now the island here was evacuated for over 5 months. For over 5 months, pretty much nobody was really allowed to come here. And the population on this island just before the eruption here was somewhere over 5,500 individuals. And after those 5 months, after the evacuation, when the islanders were allowed to come back, just about 1,000 people did not come back. And there were mainly three reasons for that actually. Number one is many of the island people were still afraid. They want to come back. Second reason was that many of the islanders here felt like they just lost everything. And there was just no reason for them to. The third reason was that in those 5 months, many islanders would have found new jobs on the mainland and just started new lives. And that is actually something that the authorities on this island were really afraid of. Because, remember what happened here? Just 6 years earlier, ended the longest eruption in Iceland. Surtsey, which was ongoing here for 4 years. So nobody really knew for how long this eruption would be ongoing. And the authorities here on this island said that we can't evacuate the whole island for a couple of years. We'll lose all the people here on the island. So halfway into the eruption, they got a special permit to let 200 people come into the island and start working at our fishing industry houses. So we would have fishing boats coming here with fresh fish, take it to the fishing industry houses and work it there. The authorities here on this island said that they did this just to let people know that they will still have a job to come to, that they will still have a reason to come back to the island whenever the evacuation would be over. Now, have you all heard about the rescuing of the beluga whales? Some of you might have gone and checked it out. Yes. Did you like it?
Great.
Well, I'm going to ruin it for you then. Now, I'm going to tell you my version of it. It just might not be their version of it. So this non-profit organization called Sea Life, or Merlin Entertainment, they rescued these 2 white beluga whales from a zoo in China. I call it a zoo where you pay money to see animals do kind of tricks or shows. So they rescued these 2 white beluga whales from a zoo in China, flew them all the way from China to Iceland. And the whales had to take the ferry over just like everybody else. Now, the idea was to put them back to the natural habitat, which is the sea, the ocean, of course. But they're born in captivity. They don't have any social skills, hunting skills, or any instincts really. So they have to be able to feed them every single day. So then the idea was to give them the best natural habitat as possible, but still be able to feed them every single day. This is 5 years ago when they brought the whales to the Western Islands. And they put the whales into the cove. On the other side of that cruise ship is a cove where they put the whales in. They close the cove off, put the whales in there. Then a year later, so 4 years ago, they took the whales back out, and they've taken the whales back inside of the house here where the black roof is. Because apparently one of the whales had agoraphobia. Agoraphobia is when you're afraid of white spaces, not small spaces. No. White spaces, like the ocean. Yes, I'm not making this up, guys. No, apparently they got a veterinarian / psychologist from the US, and she diagnosed one of the whales with agoraphobia. So it took both of the whales back inside. Apparently that one whale is going through therapy because of his agoraphobia. And when she's finished with therapy, they're going to take them both back outside. Guys, I couldn't even make this up if I wanted to. So if you want to see them inside the building, there probably will be for the rest of the ride. Now, this place down here is called Skansen. It's Danish from when we are under the Danish king with Denmark used to own Iceland. It means fortress in Danish. You see, 100 years after the Turkish invasion, people were still afraid the pirates would come in here and take them away. So the Danish king, as good as he was, he gave the locals this cannon, which you might see down here. Or you just might not see it because it's so small it would absolutely have done nothing if anybody would come in here. But it made the people feel like they had some kind of security, hence for the fortress. Now I think this is actually the only fortress in Iceland. Down there is also a church. It was a gift from Norway. It's called Stavkirkja. Norwegian king used to own Iceland before he lost us to the Danish king. The other house back there is a replica of the first house for a first real doctor on the island in the beginning of 1900. Both of these houses are open here today. If you have time or any interest, there's a path right in front of us. Like a 5-minute walk. The houses should be open until 5 o'clock here today. So if you have time or any interest, you could check it out after the tour. Now here to the left, guys, we have a little bit of grass and our forest. Thank you. Underneath it is a lava from 1973. Here we are on a public hole. See what I did here? Trying to clean this down, make it grow higher. Instead of rolling over our houses and our fishing industry houses, we just planted the grass here. So right here in front of us, we have a brown timber house with a black roof and a Tesla. I call this house lucky number 13. 11 is missing, amongst other ones, of course. But as we pass his house, we try seeing his backyard, see how lucky he was. Just missed his house. His neighbor was not so lucky. The house is actually cement house. He put the timber afterwards because the cement was just a little bit damaged. But the house itself was still okay. And of course, somebody had to be lucky, or more luckier than the other person. And that somebody was lucky number 13. We have a light pole here, painted red. There are actually light poles painted red all the way to the Volcano Museum, so you won't get lost. If you were going there, you could follow the red light pole. And also back to town, if you were going there. We have here kind of a big house. Well, for us it is. The white one here with the red roof. It's our city hall. It used to be our hospital here, just before the eruption here in 73. But we got a much, much bigger one now. Now, I would say that this street right here is kind of like the main street. You know, you have like a couple local stores, hotel, restaurant, cafe house, bank, brewery, stuff like that. If you get lost anywhere in town, just remember all the streets lead down to the heart of the island, which is the harbor. You walk down any street to come down to the harbor. You know exactly where you are. On the corner here to the right is our new cafe house, opened last summer. Bank. The yellow building on the right side is a local restaurant called Gott. It means good in Icelandic. They're actually in the second place as the best restaurant in the whole south coast of Iceland. You will not be disappointed there. They also have to make the best pizza in the whole wide world, guys. I have traveled. I'm
Maybe we
telling
should
you,
go there
best
and eat
pizza.
pizza before.
Even though I didn't get one until I was 17. The Troll there, a couple local artists open shop here, show and tell, what they make here on the island, souvenir shop, stuff like that. The red building next to that, that's Brothers Brewery, the only brewery here on the island, the only brewery I told you about. On the corner here to the left is a cafe house, Cafe Amundsen, souvenir shop, sells the book I showed you in the beginning. On the corner here to the right, the grey one. Sometimes you just want a greasy, sleazy hamburger, and that is right over there. Now, guys.